When 50 Shades of Grey was released, audiences around the world were captivated not only by the hot love story on screen but also by the strange chemistry between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson. However, behind the spotlight, their story became one of the most controversial and hotly discussed topics in recent years. A close source revealed that the relationship between Jamie and Dakota was not as simple as everyone thought. Initially, the two were just colleagues, shouldering a film with heavy media pressure. But the bond in each scene accidentally turned into a connection that went beyond the screen. This made the public wonder, are they just perfect co-stars, or do they have a secret relationship? In addition, leaked behind-the-scenes moments showed that Dakota often appeared comfortable, even more intimate with Jamie than a normal colleague. Meanwhile, Jamie, a married man, did not hesitate to give his co-star some puzzled looks. This incident created a wave of heated debate. One side said that this was just professional acting, while the other side believed that there was a hidden truth behind the scenes. The controversy peaked when some old interviews were suddenly dug up, in which Dakota once frankly shared, "Jamie understands me better than anyone else on set." This ambiguous statement further raised suspicions that there was a connection between them beyond the scope of work. More than a decade has passed, but the question remains unanswered. Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, just co-stars, or a cleverly hidden emotional secret? Whatever the truth, it cannot be denied that the story surrounding them has become one of the biggest dramas in Hollywood, and will probably continue to make audiences curious for many years to come. The secret is out, when rumors are no longer rumors. According to an anonymous source in the crew, during the promotion of the second part of 50 Shades, Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson were caught appearing together in a small café in Paris, where the crew had absolutely no filming or press conference schedule. It is noteworthy that they chose a discreet corner, away from the public gaze, but could not escape the sharp eyes of a few paparazzi. The blurry photos, although not completely clear, were enough to raise a huge wave of suspicion. The news spread quickly, accompanied by a series of shocking headlines. Jamie Dornan, Dakota Johnson, off-screen friendship or love in the dark? How will Amelia Warner react to this ambiguous relationship? Some newspapers even asserted that Dakota was the reason why Jamie's marriage was constantly scrutinized. Meanwhile, Jamie and Dakota remained absolutely silent, leaving room for a series of theories and rumors to surround them. The moment that exploded Hollywood. Years later, in an interview, Dakota was unexpectedly asked directly about Jamie. Her mysterious smile and ambiguous answer, "Some relationships cannot be named, but cannot be denied," drove the public crazy. That sentence was considered the drop of fuel on the fire, turning the Jamie-Dakota story into one of the most controversial mysteries of the decade. What truth will be revealed? Hollywood is not short of love rumors, but the story between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson has a strange attraction. It is not only sensational news about two famous stars, but also a mystery that has never been solved, making the public always ask, if one day the real truth is revealed, will it change everything we think about them? Insiders believe that a memoir or an exclusive interview in the future can completely turn the tables. Jamie, a family man, and Dakota, a personality actress who is not afraid to speak frankly, will they ever admit to something that has gone beyond the boundaries of friendship and colleague love? Until then, the story of Jamie Dornan, Dakota Johnson will still exist as a sweet but controversial crack in Hollywood history, making millions of viewers continue to be curious, speculate and wait for the day the truth is revealed. Shocking fiction news, buried evidence. A leading Hollywood entertainment magazine suddenly released a series of shocking investigative articles. In it, the reporter claimed to have access to never-before-published documents about the secret relationship between Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson during the peak of 50 Shades. According to the source, the two had a secret meeting in London in 2016. A witness who worked on the film crew revealed, "I can't go into details, but something definitely happened. They were more than just co-stars." Immediately, a series of blurry photos with anonymous messages were spread on social media, causing public opinion to explode. Although there was no solid evidence, the title alone, Jamie, Dakota, Love Hidden for Many Years, was enough to make every film forum hotter than ever. The wave of public opinion is divided. One side of the audience believes that this is just a cheap media trick, taking advantage of both of their names to attract views. But the other side firmly believes that there is no smoke without fire, and that the silence of Jamie and Dakota only proves the hypothesis that they once had an ambiguous relationship. Whatever the truth is, this wave of controversy has once again brought the Jamie Dornan, Dakota Johnson story back to the center, becoming an indelible legendary crack in the history of Hollywood scandals. If the truth is revealed, the Hollywood media has always whispered a scenario that could shake the entire entertainment industry. If Jamie Dornan or Dakota Johnson one day admits to having a secret relationship, the effect will not stop at entertainment news. Jamie's model family man image will collapse in an instant. Dakota, with his independent and individualistic image, will be dragged into a never-ending vortex of criticism. And most importantly, the public will look back at the entire 50 Shades with a completely different eye. That what they see on screen is not necessarily just acting. Media experts also commented, "This will be a scandal that shakes Hollywood, far beyond any previous secret love affair, because it is associated with one of the most controversial film franchises of the decade." Until now, both Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson have remained silent, despite the storm of public opinion surrounding them. It was that silence that turned the story into a half-true, half-false legend, making people more curious, more eager to know the truth. And perhaps, that is what made their relationship the most controversial story of the decade, an unsolved mystery, but enough to haunt millions of viewers around the world. 10 years later, memoir that shocked. 10 years later, when the noise seemed to have subsided, Dakota Johnson suddenly released a memoir called Light and Shadow. Right in the opening chapter, she left a sentence that shocked the whole world. "There are relationships that will never be named, but I have never regretted having experienced them." Although Dakota did not directly mention Jamie Dornan, every detail in the memoir, from long filming nights, emotional behind-the-scenes moments, to secret trips, only the two of us know, all seemed to be referring to him. Chain reaction. Hollywood was immediately shaken. Major newspapers simultaneously ran the news. Did Dakota Johnson finally admit it? Social networks exploded with the hashtag Jamie and Dakota Truth, reaching millions of discussions in just a few hours. Jamie's wife, Amelia Warner, was suddenly subjected to a media frenzy, putting her private life back in the spotlight. Meanwhile, Jamie Dornan remained silent. But that silence only made the public believe that everything Dakota wrote was true. A controversial legacy. Dakota's memoir quickly became a global bestseller, but more than its commercial value, it turned her and Jamie's story into a controversial legacy that has lasted for decades. The ultimate question still resonates. Where is the line between secret love and unnamed friendship? Jamie Dornan's late confession. Just months after Dakota Johnson's memoir caused a stir, Jamie Dornan broke his silence in an exclusive interview. The host asked directly, "Do you have anything to say about what Dakota wrote?" Jamie sat silently for a few seconds, then smiled wearily. "There are things I've kept quiet for years, to protect my family and my career. But I think it's time to tell the truth. Dakota and I had a relationship that we both knew couldn't last, but it was real." A global media explosion. The confession was like an earthquake. Hollywood was engulfed in shockwaves. Major TV networks stopped their regular broadcasts to report the breaking news. Replays of scenes from 50 Shades were shown, every glance, every gesture analyzed. The world talked about a love story that had been hidden for more than a decade, both romantic and controversial. Amelia Warner chose to remain silent, not making any comments, further dividing public opinion. One side sympathized, the other side harshly criticized. An incomplete ending, but unforgettable. Although Jamie and Dakota both affirmed that the relationship had ended a long time ago, and the two were now just friends, the truth they had just admitted was engraved in Hollywood history as an unforgettable chapter. That story was not just a love scandal, but became a symbol of a secret love, beautiful but full of danger, haunting a generation of audiences. And finally, Jamie closed the interview with a sentence that made everyone choke up. "If time could go back, I would still choose to go through that, because sometimes, a genuine moment is more precious than a lifetime of hiding."